She was leaving just as I came out.
Silence! Miss Buchanan, I must remind you that you're under oath.
Yes, sir. But I'm sorry. I didn't see who killed her. I don't know. Honestly.
All right, Miss Buchanan, you may step down.
Talks at the arbitration court broke down when union leaders continued to hold out for a further $5 a week pay rise. In the Supreme Court today, Mrs. Sean McNally appeared on charges of murdering Mrs. Jackie Colson earlier this year. The defendant's lawyer stated that he anticipates a brief trial resulting in the clearing of his client.
Hello, Nancy. Erica. I'm fine. I've actually taken a few weeks' holiday. I was wondering if you and John could come over for dinner one night this week. Oh, are you? No, I'd forgotten about school holidays. How are they, by the way? Oh, good. You must be very proud of them. Oh, really? I see. How sweet.
Okay, Phil, how much are you coughing up?
Put me down for $1.
Edie and me did these just a few weeks ago. I know what it's like to keep losing friends, Dor. Everyone needs someone to look up to. Don't suppose I can expect you to look up to an old woman like me. But we've been together too long to let Bea and Tony split us up. And Bea didn't mean to hit you so hard. Oh, don't suppose I can expect you to like a old good-for-nothing like me.
I don't reckon you're an old good-for-nothing, Lizzie.
Does that mean we're mates again?
Of course we are. You're the only friend I got in here.
You can help clean up in here, McNally.
Taking longer than you thought, eh?
But it is going like a dream. All right, girls. Let's give the new governor a little clap.
Oh, you look real nice out of uniform, Mr. Fletcher.
I'm only going to say this once, so pay attention. Tonight, you'll pack all your things. Tomorrow, you'll be ready to move into different cells with different cellmates. We'll tell you who you're going to move in with tomorrow, and we'll keep you moving every so often just to break up your little gangs. That's all.
Bloody mongrel. Mongrel trick that'd be. He can't do that, Mrs. Jackson. Some of the girls have made those rooms their homes.
I don't want to move it from anyone else. I've been with Doreen for years now.
You'll get used to it, Birdsworth.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
What was that, Smith? Nothing, Miss Bennett. These are the ones that want to send flowers to Mum. $15 worth, that okay?
Mr. Fletcher won't allow it.
Mrs. Davidson said that we could.
Mrs. Davidson isn't here anymore.
May I have a word with you, Miss Bennett?
You tell her, Mrs. Jackson.
Right. Well, that does it.
Now, that's going too far, Vera, isn't it? Especially after Mrs. Davidson said they could.
We're showing them right from the start that we're going to run this place the way it should be run, like a prison.
And what about Lizzie and Doreen? They're harmless. And the worst thing that could happen to Doreen at the moment would be to be thrown in with a total stranger.
She's a prisoner like the rest of them.
Oh, use your head for once, Vera, and stop being so power-conscious.
Mrs. Davidson mightn't have reported that little episode with Mum, but I'm sure Mr. Fletcher would. It's not too late, you know.
Don't threaten me, Vera.
I'm reminding you that you're an officer and you should act like one. Or are you more on the side of the inmates these days?
At least some of them act like human beings.
If we let them get the upper hand on this one, there'll be no stopping them.
Had pictures up on my walls for 2 years. If I take them down now, they'll rip.
Yeah, you two ought to get in on this. After all, you're supposed to be the brains on the outside.
What's the big deal? All those cells look alike anyway.
I've been in that cell for over 10 years. It's not the same. It's mine.
Yeah.
I just don't want to get myself involved in anything that could end in a riot, that's all.
Don't you want to help us, Tony?
I'm not jeopardizing my chances of getting out of you.
Comes the crunch and you turn your back on us.
I've got my own problems. You want to be in it? Go ahead.
What do you want me to do, Bea?
Hang on a tick. You with us, Doreen?
If Mrs. Davidson was here, she wouldn't let this happen.
And you reckon I'm going to? Look, let me tell you something. I've been here a long time, probably longer than the rest of you. Okay, it was my choice. I knew what I was doing, and I knew I'd end up back on the inside. So this is my home, right? And I'm going to keep it in order. I clobbered you because the minute my back was turned, you got into drugs.
It was only a couple of funny cigarettes.
Yeah, well, that's how my kids started. First a couple of smokes, then into sniffing stuff, and then into the really hard stuff. No one, especially a kid like you, is going to get hooked on anything except being released, not while I'm around. Look, you lot may not be much, but you're all the family I got now.
What do you want me to do, Bea?
Oh, you come good, Dora.
Listen, we're going to need some stuff in the laundry. You reckon you and Lizzie can manage that?
Oh, me and Lizzie can nick anything that's not nailed down, can't we, Lizzie?
And even that's never stopped us.
Right, well, let's show Bennett and Fletch who's really taken over Wentworth.
I feel so awful about dropping in and talking about work.
I would have told you if I minded when you phoned.
Yes, but on your first day off, when you're supposed to be having a wonderful time.
I am. I could get used to this quite quickly.
Oh, you'd soon get bored.
I just wish so many of my friends weren't away at the moment. Most of them have families and are heading off for the school holidays. But I'm sure I'll find plenty to keep me busy. And if I get bored, I can always get more involved in the halfway house.
Oh, I didn't think you were very impressed after that last meeting.
Angela Jeffries phoned. She can be very persuasive. What does Dr. Miller think about the situation at the prison?
I haven't discussed it with him.
Oh. I wouldn't worry too much at this stage, Meg. They're both good at their jobs, and the department wouldn't have put Mr. Fletcher into the position if they hadn't thought he was suitable.
Oh, they'll follow the rules all right. Without feeling and lots of discipline.
Perhaps that's where I went wrong. Too soft.
Rubbish. You were trying to help, and you did.
Well, there are other ways, and regimentation isn't all that bad.
I know what it did to my mother, taking me away from her the minute I was a year old.
Yes. It's still a prison ruling, unfortunately. But the system has changed since those days, Meg, in other areas.
Yes, and Vera and Mr. Fletcher are going to set it back right where it was 30-odd years ago.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see.
Come on, you two, get a move on. Birdsworth, you'll be moving in with Gaffney. Anderson, you're in with Higgins and Dwyer. What's this? The silent treatment. No one got any objections? Where are your personal things?
There you go, Miss Bennett. I'm an old woman. This is enough for one trip.
Smith, you move in with Barton, and you're switching places with Armstrong. If you think that not speaking's going to wear us down, Smith, you're very much mistaken. I could think of nothing better than never hearing your voice again.
Come along, you lot.